Welcome to our deep dive into Buenos Aires.
Oh, very cool.
We're going to be exploring the city's vibrant history and culture.
Right? Okay.
What I found really intriguing about her take is how Buenos Aires has this universal feel. Even though it's so distinctly Argentine,
Yeah,
it's like a microcosm of the world.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is.
It's fascinating how Buenos Aires manages to be both unique and globally connected.
Yeah,
That really stuck with me too.
yeah.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning with the city's founding.
Okay,
There were actually two attempts, weren't there?
that's right.
The first one, led by Pedro de Mendoza in 1536, was a complete disaster.
The settlement was plagued by famine and conflict with indigenous tribes.
Oh, wow.
Uribe mentions these wild legends
Okay.
about the early settlers even resorting to cannibalism out of desperation.
No way.
Now, those stories are likely embellished,
Sure.
but the fact that the first settlement failed speaks volumes about the challenges they faced.
It's incredible how harsh those early days were.
Yeah.
It really makes you appreciate how much the city has overcome.
Right.
So what about the second founding? What made that one successful?
Wandagare's attempt in 1580
Okay.
was more strategic.
Hmm.
Buenos Aires, along with Montevideo across the River Plate,
Yeah.
was intentionally positioned to counter Portuguese expansion further south.
Oh, I see.
The Spanish crown was very aware of the threat Portugal posed
Okay.
and wanted to secure their control over the region.
So it was like a pincer movement, squeezing the
Yeah.
Portuguese out.
And it worked.
Wow.
Buenos Aires became a key stronghold for the Spanish Empire in South America.
It's amazing to think of those early days.
Yeah.
A city on the edge of the vast, untamed pampas,
Right?
governed by a viceroyalty all the way up in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about remote.
And that remoteness really shaped the city's character.
Yeah.
It fostered a sense of independence and resilience
Okay.
that would become defining traits of Buenos Aires.
And speaking of defining traits,
Yeah.
we can't forget about the city's name.
Oh, right.
Nuestra Señora del Buen Air.
Oh.
Our Lady of Good Air.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
It's a beautiful name, isn't it?
It is.
It's linked to a Virgin Mary figure
Okay.
associated with safe sea voyages.
I see.
Remember back then, sailing ships were the primary mode of transportation?
Yeah,
So good winds were essential.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's like the name itself was a prayer for good fortune and safe passage.
precisely.
Wow.
And I think that sense of hope and faith has stayed with Buenos Aires
Okay.
throughout its history, even through difficult times.
Okay, so we've got this strategically located city with a name that embodies hope,
Right.
slowly taking root on the edge of a vast wilderness.
Yeah.
But things really start to change
Yeah.
in the late 19th and early 20th centuries
Right.
with a massive influx of European immigrants.
This is where Buenos Aires truly transforms.
Wow.
Imagine this.
Okay.
The city explodes from a population of around 400,000
Yeah.
to a whopping 4 million in just a few decades.
Oh my gosh.
This wave of immigration completely reshaped the city's social and cultural landscape.
It's mind-boggling.
It is.
It must have been a period of incredible upheaval, but also immense creativity and energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Uribe even mentions a piece of advice given to newly arrived Italian immigrants.
Oh, yeah.
Walk on the sidewalks,
Right.
not in the middle of the street.
It's a seemingly small detail,
Yeah.
but it reveals so much about the cultural differences and the challenges of adapting to this new bustling metropolis.
Right.
And out of this melting pot of cultures
Okay.
from these conventillos,
Okay.
which were essentially tenement buildings with shared courtyards where immigrants lived,
Okay.
emerged a new art form. Tango.
Tango.
Yeah,
It's so much more than just a dance, though, isn't it?
it is.
Uribe describes it as a philosophy, a way of life,
Right.
even a reflection of the melancholy
Yeah.
felt by these displaced immigrants. It's hard to imagine Buenos Aires without it.
Yes. Tango is deeply intertwined with the city's soul.
Yeah.
It's music born out of longing, passion, and that feeling of being caught between two worlds.
Right.
And it even developed its own language.
Right.
Lunfardo,
Okay.
a slang born in the streets and infused into tango lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the word mina in Lunfardo refers to a woman,
Okay.
while in standard Spanish it means mine.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating how a city can give birth to a completely new way of speaking, a whole new vocabulary that reflects its unique cultural blend.
And that blend is evident in so many aspects of Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Alongside tango, the city was becoming a cultural powerhouse in other ways, too.
Oh, like what?
Its architecture.
Okay.
Heavily influenced by French design, thanks to figures like Marcelo Torquato de Alvear,
Hmm.
gave it a distinctly European flair.
Right.
Yeah.
It's often called the Paris of South America,
Uh-huh.
but I think that label only captures a small part of what makes it so special.
I agree.
Yeah.
Buenos Aires is a city of dualities,
Hmm.
European and Latin American, sophisticated and gritty, traditional and avant-garde.
Wow.
It's this constant tension between opposing forces
Yeah.
that gives the city its dynamic energy.
And that energy is palpable in everything from its architecture to its music, its literature, even its politics.
Speaking of which,
Okay.
we can't talk about Buenos Aires without mentioning the Perones.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They are such iconic figures in Argentine history, and their legacy is still fiercely debated even today.
Let's delve into that a bit more.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Juan and Eva Perón
Well,
and their impact on Buenos Aires?
Juan Perón was a populist leader who rose to power in the 1940s.
Okay.
He and his wife Eva, also
Mm.
known as Evita,
Right.
championed the rights of the working class.
Oh,
The descamisados, or shirtless ones.
wow.
They implemented social welfare programs and policies
Okay.
that resonated deeply with the poor and marginalized.
Evita in particular became this almost mythical figure,
She
a
did.
symbol of hope and empowerment for the masses.
Yes.
It's no wonder her story has been told and retold in books,
Right.
films, and even a Broadway musical.
Absolutely.
But the Perón era was also marked by political turmoil and social unrest.
It was a complex legacy full of contradictions and conflicting interpretations.
And speaking of turmoil, this period also saw the rise of the Cordobazos in the late 1960s.
The Cordobas.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
These were massive student and worker uprisings in the city of Cordoba, which had a ripple effect across the country, including Buenos Aires.
I see.
What was it about this movement that resonated so strongly?
Well, the Cordobazos were a reaction to years of social and economic inequality.
Okay.
They were fueled by anger over rising unemployment, poverty, and the suppression of political dissent.
Wow.
These uprisings, which were met with violent repression from the government,
Oh, no.
marked a turning point in Argentine history,
Okay.
leading to a period of intense political instability.
It's incredible to think of these massive protests erupting across the country, demanding change and challenging the established order.
Yeah, it was a tumultuous time.
And sadly, this period of instability eventually led to one of the darkest chapters in Argentina's history,
Right.
the 1976 military dictatorship.
Yes, this was a tragic time for Argentina,
Yeah.
a period marked by state-sponsored terror and the disappearance of thousands of people.
It's essential to acknowledge the immense suffering and loss
Definitely.
that occurred during those years.
It's a part of history that should never be forgotten.
And during this dark time, a group of mothers
Oh, wow.
whose children had vanished began their silent protests in the Plaza de Mayo.
The Plaza de Mayo.
Yeah, right in the heart of Buenos Aires.
That's powerful imagery.
They became known as the Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo.
Uh-huh.
And their courage and determination in the face of such unimaginable grief is truly awe-inspiring.
Their weekly marches demanding answers and holding the government accountable
Yeah.
became a powerful symbol of resistance against the dictatorship.
They refused to be silenced,
They didn't.
and their voices ultimately helped bring about the return of democracy in Argentina.
It's a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit,
It is.
even in the darkest of times.
But even amidst the oppression of the dictatorship,
Yeah.
a new musical voice was emerging in Buenos Aires.
What's that?
Rock national.
Rock national.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's right.
Okay.
The dictatorship inadvertently fueled the rise of Argentine rock
How so?
by banning English language music.
Oh.
It was an attempt to control the flow of information and suppress dissent.
I see.
But it backfired spectacularly, didn't it?
It certainly did.
By trying to stifle foreign influence, they unintentionally created the perfect conditions for a homegrown musical revolution to flourish.
Wow. So they actually ended up promoting what they were trying to prevent.
And out of that revelation came some of the most iconic figures in Latin American music.
Oh, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Musicians like Charly Garcia and Luis Alberto Spinetta used their music to express dissent and challenge the status quo. They became voices of a generation speaking truth to power through their songs.
It's remarkable how music can become such a powerful tool for resistance,
It is.
for uniting people,
Yeah.
for giving voice to the voiceless.
It's a testament to the creative spirit of the people of Buenos Aires,
Right.
their ability to find hope and express themselves even in the face of adversity.
That spirit is something that continues to define the city today.
It sounds like there's so much more to uncover about this city's musical heritage.
There.
But for now, I think we need to
Yeah.
let our listeners process all this amazing information.
Okay.
We'll be back soon to explore more of Buenos Aires' fascinating past and present.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Buenos Aires.
Yeah, Buenos Aires.
We've just scratched the surface of this incredible city's history and culture, and there's so much more to explore.
So much more.
Before the break, we were talking about the power of music as a form of resistance
Great.
during the dictatorship.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't just music, was it?
It wasn't.
Visual arts,
Yeah.
literature,
Right.
even theater played a crucial role in challenging the regime
Absolutely.
and keeping hope alive.
Artists like Leon Ferrari, for example,
Okay,
used their work to critique the dictatorship
in what ways?
in subtle but powerful ways.
Hmm.
His installations often incorporated everyday objects,
Okay,
transforming them into thought-provoking commentaries on power, violence, and social injustice.
interesting.
And then there was Liliana Porter, whose conceptual art played with scale and perspective, creating these surreal and often humorous scenes that challenged viewers to question their assumptions about reality.
I find it fascinating how art can be both a reflection of its time and a timeless expression of the human spirit.
Absolutely.
It's like these artists were creating a visual record of what was happening,
Right.
but also tapping into something deeper,
Yeah.
something that transcends the specific political context.
Yes, and that's what makes their work so enduring. It continues to resonate with us today, even though the dictatorship ended decades ago.
It's a reminder that art can be a powerful tool for healing, for remembering, and for inspiring change.
I agree.
And speaking of healing, I think it's important to delve a bit deeper into the legacy of the dictatorship
Yeah, okay.
and its impact on Buenos Aires.
Uh-huh.
It's a wound that's still healing, isn't it?
It is the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, who we discussed earlier,
Right.
played a crucial role in demanding justice and accountability for the crimes committed during the dictatorship. Yeah.
Their unwavering pursuit of truth and their refusal to be silenced helped pave the way for a more democratic and just society.
You know, when I think about those mothers marching week after week, year after year, demanding answers about their disappeared children,
Yeah.
it just fills me with such a mix of sadness and awe. Their strength and resilience are truly remarkable.
It's a testament to the power of love,
Yeah.
the enduring strength of the human spirit, and the importance of collective action in the face of injustice.
Right.
Their legacy continues to inspire human rights activists around the world.
It's hard to imagine going through something so horrific
Yeah.
and still finding the strength to fight for justice,
Yes.
not just for yourself, but for an entire nation.
Their story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can endure and change is possible. And that brings us back to the idea of Buenos Aires as a city of duality, doesn't it?
It does.
A city that has experienced immense suffering and darkness,
Hmm.
but also incredible creativity,
Ah.
resilience, and hope.
Exactly. It's a city that embraces its past, both the light and the shadows,
Right.
and uses it to fuel its present and shape its future.
I'm reminded of Diana Uribe's observation that Buenos Aires has decayed 1,000 times and flourished 1,000 times.
Wow.
It speaks to a city that's constantly in flux, constantly evolving, but somehow always retaining its essence, its soul.
That's a great point. Buenos Aires isn't a static entity frozen in time.
No.
It's a living, breathing organism shaped by the people who inhabit it,
Yeah.
the events it endures, and the stories it tells.
And speaking of stories,
Yeah.
Buenos Aires is renowned for its incredible literary heritage.
Oh, yeah, it is.
We've already mentioned Jorge Luis Borges, who said, "I have always imagined that paradise will be a kind of library." It seems fitting for a city with so many bookstores,
Yeah,
a city that truly celebrates the written word.
absolutely. Borges is just the tip of the iceberg, though.
Oh, right.
Buenos Aires has a thriving contemporary literary scene as well,
Oh, cool.
with authors like Claudia Pinheiro and Samantha Schweblin gaining international recognition.
Wow.
They're exploring new themes, experimenting with form,
Okay.
and pushing the boundaries of what Argentine literature can be.
It's almost as if the city itself is a character in their works,
Right.
shaping their narratives and influencing their perspectives.
You know, you're right. You can't separate the literature of Buenos Aires from the city itself. The streets, the cafes, the parks, they all seep into the writing, creating a sense of place that's both specific and universal.
It makes me want to grab a book by an Argentine author, find a cozy cafe in Buenos Aires, and just soak it all in.
I can picture it now.
Yeah.
You sipping on a cafe con leche lost in a world of words,
Yeah.
with the sounds of the city swirling around you.
Oh, that's nice.
It's truly a sensory experience, unlike any other.
And while we're indulging our senses, we can't forget about the food.
The food. Oh, yeah.
We touched on the asado culture earlier,
Right.
which is such a central part of Argentine identity.
Uh-huh.
But what else should we be on the lookout for?
Well, of course, you can't go wrong with empanadas. They're ubiquitous and come in countless varieties,
Okay.
from classic beef to vegetarian options.
Nice.
And if you have a sweet tooth, definitely try alfajores.
Those are so good.
Those melt-in-your-mouth cookies filled with dulce de leche.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Me too.
But let's move beyond the culinary delights for a moment
Okay.
and talk about the modern-day challenges
Right.
Buenos Aires has faced.
Okay.
I'm thinking specifically about the Corralito.
The Corralito.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The 2001 economic crisis that really shook the country.
Yeah.
Imagine having your bank account frozen overnight.
Oh, wow.
That's essentially what happened during the Corralito.
Really?
People
Yeah.
were suddenly cut off from their savings,
Oh, no.
leading to widespread panic and protests.
It was a traumatic time for many Argentines.
It was.
The Corralito exposed the deep inequalities and vulnerabilities
Oh, yeah.
within the country's economic system.
And it also had a profound impact on Argentine cinema, didn't it?
It did.
There's a film called La Odisea de los Giles, Heroic Losers,
Yeah.
that offers a unique perspective on that period.
Yes, that's a great example.
All right.
La Odisea de los Giles is a dark comedy that follows a group of people
Okay.
who band together to try and reclaim their lost savings after the Corralito.
Oh, wow.
It's a story about resilience, community, and finding humor even in the face of adversity.
And speaking of Argentine cinema,
Yeah,
it's a truly rich and diverse tradition, isn't it?
it is. We've got directors like Adolfo Urastarain,
Okay.
Juan Jose Campanella,
Yeah.
and Pablo Trapero,
Uh-huh.
and actors like Ricardo Darín and Norma Alejandro.
What's striking about Argentine cinema is its unique blend of humor and depth.
Yeah.
It often tackles complex social issues
It does?
with a touch of irony and a dose of heart,
Right.
which perhaps reflects the influence of the country's literary giants.
Right.
It's a cinema that engages both your mind and your emotions.
I agree.
It sounds like Argentine films offer a window into the soul of Buenos Aires,
I think so.
a way of understanding the city's complexities.
Yeah.
Its humor, its resilience, its passion.
Right.
Maybe I want to add a few Argentine films to my watch list.
I highly recommend it. But for now, let's shift gears
Okay.
and explore some of the iconic landmarks and neighborhoods
Yeah.
that make Buenos Aires so visually stunning and culturally vibrant.
Okay.
Where would you like to start?
Well, you can't talk about Buenos Aires without mentioning the Obelisco, can you?
The Obelisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That towering monument is like the city's exclamation point.
Right.
It's such a symbol of Buenos Aires, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's impossible to miss.
Yeah.
And it really captures the city's energy and ambition.
And then there's Caminito.
Caminito.
Yeah, a pedestrian street in the La Boca neighborhood known for its brightly colored houses and tango dancers.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's become a bit of a tourist trap,
Oh, really?
but it's still worth a visit to soak up the atmosphere.
And I love the idea of wandering through San Telmo with its cobblestone streets, antique shops, and vibrant Sunday market.
That sounds so cool.
It feels like a place where you could easily get lost in time.
And for theater lovers, the Teatro Colón is an absolute must-see.
Oh, the Teatro Colón.
Yeah, this grand opera house is renowned for its stunning architecture and world-class performances.
It sounds like there's something for everyone in Buenos Aires.
There is.
Whether you're a history buff, an art enthusiast, a foodie, or a music lover, this city has it all.
It's a city that truly caters to all the senses.
It does.
From the visual feast of its architecture to the rhythmic pulse of its tango music.
Right.
It's a place that stays with you long after you've left.
It does.
It feels like we've just skimmed the surface of what Buenos Aires has to offer.
Yeah.
And I'm already feeling that pull, that desire to experience it all firsthand.
I know exactly what you mean. It's a city that beckons you to explore,
Yeah.
to discover, to lose yourself in its vibrant tapestry of cultures,
Right.
stories, and experiences.
But for now, let's take another quick break and give our listener time to process all these incredible details.
Sounds good.
When we come back, we'll try to tie everything together
Right?
and offer some final thoughts on what makes Buenos Aires such a captivating and unforgettable destination.
Okay, great.
Welcome back. We've covered so much ground in our deep dive into Buenos Aires,
We have.
from its tumultuous history to its vibrant cultural scene. But I think what's striking me most is this constant interplay of contrast
The contrast
that we keep encountering.
Yeah, it's that duality that really defines the city, wouldn't you say?
I think so. Yeah, the European and the Latin American,
Right.
the grandeur and the grit,
Yeah.
the darkness of the dictatorship era juxtaposed with the irrepressible spirit of its people.
It's a city of resilience, that's for sure.
It's like Buenos Aires embraces its contradictions
It does.
and weaves them into something uniquely beautiful and captivating.
Yeah, I agree.
Diana Uribe, whose video we've been discussing, talks about how Buenos Aires has always been a city of immigrants.
Oh, yeah.
A place where people from all over the world have come to seek a better life.
And I think that constant influx of new cultures and perspectives has contributed to this sense of openness and dynamism.
Yeah.
It's a city that's always evolving, always reinventing itself.
I'm also reminded of that Borges quote about Buenos Aires containing the whole universe.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just hyperbole. You can find echoes of every culture, every era, every walk of life within its streets.
That's what makes it so exciting for a visitor.
Yeah.
You can wander from a Parisian-style cafe to a vibrant tango club to a bustling street market all within a few blocks.
And you're constantly encountering these unexpected juxtapositions. Like the brightly colored conventillos.
Yeah.
Nestled alongside grand European-inspired architecture.
Exactly. It's a city that defies easy categorization, and I think that's what makes it so endlessly fascinating.
So for you, our listener, what does this all mean? Why should you care about Buenos Aires?
Well, if you're looking for a travel destination that will challenge your assumptions, ignite your senses, and stay with you long after you've left, Buenos Aires should be at the top of your list.
It's a city that invites you to embrace the unexpected, to get lost in its labyrinthine streets, to savor the flavors of its cuisine, to lose yourselves in the rhythm of tango.
And perhaps most importantly, it's a city that reminds us of the power of the human spirit. To overcome adversity, to find beauty in unexpected places, and to create something extraordinary out of the ordinary.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with this final thought. Buenos Aires is a city that understands the meaning of hope.
Hope.
It's a city that has faced its share of darkness, but has always found a way to re-emerge more vibrant and captivating than ever before.
And that spirit of hope, that resilience, that passion for life is something that we can all learn from, no matter where we are in the world.
So go explore, go discover, go experience the magic of Buenos Aires for yourself. You won't regret it.